Hey guys, what's going on? Matt here, and welcome to a tutorial on how to add a secret door Easter egg to your zombies map. So this is going to work by activating a number of triggers, and then a door is going to sort of slide open or rotate, and you have like a secret room that you can then access. So if we go to this first one, we can activate. We can go to the door. You can see we cannot go through the door. We'll do another one. Still can't go through. Then if we do the third one, so I did these in any order, you can see then the door slid open and we can then walk through. The zombies will also follow you. So this video is going to be kind of aimed at people who have very little scripting knowledge. It might be useful to have a little bit of knowledge already, but it's definitely not required whatsoever. I'm going to be going through exactly what I'm doing to make the script. I've been making the script as I'm recording, so absolutely everything will be shown. But it could be kind of useful, especially if you're trying to learn as much as you can. The room itself is going to be part of an existing zone, so there's going to be no zone activations required whatsoever. That's obviously when you buy a door, the next zone is then activated. That won't be a thing in this. So you will need to make sure that the zone that you're already in goes into your secret room as well, so your player doesn't just die. If you do want to have a zone activated, it's really not difficult at all. It's just sort of beyond the scope of this video. I don't want to make it too complicated, especially for people who are more new to this. But I might make something like that in the future. Who knows? It's nothing overly complicated. So yeah, right. So let's go over to Radiant next, and we'll set up all the triggers and everything that we need to make this thing started. Okay, so we're over at Radiant. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, make the triggers. Now, as you can see, I have a doorway already set up. It's literally just a doorway. I have 3 models. Okay, these are simply just to indicate where the triggers will be. You can have, the triggers wherever you want. I needed something to to show you guys where the triggers would be. And of course, there's nothing in this doorway. That is where the door is going to go. So let's set up these triggers. So for this video, I'm going to be doing 3 triggers. You can have as many as you want. I'd recommend not having like hundreds, because somebody activating 100, it's going to get quite annoying. But you can kind of do whatever you really want here. So what we need to do is, of course, get a trigger. Now, what we're going to do is go down to Entity Browser. If you don't have any of these sort of tabs open, simply just right-click at the top of here, and you can see all of your sort of tab options. So Entity Browser is what we need here. We're going to go down to Trigger, and we go down to Use. So Trigger Use. Drag that into the map. Now, I'm just going to position this over the trigger itself, over the model itself, and this is simply going to be where the player goes up to it, and well, typically they're going to be pressing F on it, or X, whatever the use button is, and that's of course going to activate this trigger. So what we need to do is give this trigger a KVP. So I'm just going to come out of light mode just so we can see what it looks like this. So I'm going to give this a KVP. So what we're going to do is go over to Entity Info whilst this trigger is selected, and we're going to go over to target name here, and we're going to give it a KVP of really whatever you want. This is going to be what this trigger is called, and what all the other triggers are called for that matter. So I'm going to call it, let's say, Secret Door Trig. Secret Door Trig. Trig, of course, short for trigger. Try to avoid using the word trigger, because it does seem to conflict when it comes to scripting. So try and use trig instead of the word trigger. It's something I've just found is way easier, and the word trigger itself can cause quite a few problems. So secret door trig. There's one other thing that we also need to do. Now this is simply just going to sort of basically reduce one line of code. A lot of people do this via code, but you can do it via the trigger itself, and this is the cursor hint. And most people set this in code, as I say, but you can also do it as a drop down, so it just reduces how much code you need to write. So it's going to be hint underscore no icon, okay, like that. And that's simply, I think it removes the hand symbol, or whatever symbol it usually comes up with. It kind of just removes all that sort of stuff, if I'm correct anyway. So target name, secret door trig, or whatever you want to name it, and then of course the cursor hint to hint no icon. Next, what we're going to do is copy this 3 times. For this case, of course, it's however many times you want the user to activate this number of triggers. So I'm going to copy it to each one, and you'll see each time I copy it, it keeps the target name and the cursor hint, so we don't need to type this out again. You just do it once and then copy it to all of your other locations. As I say, I just have them on here just to make it easy. So now we've done that, we now basically have the trigger set up. Make sure you do keep a note of what that target name was, because we'll be using this later within the script. Okay. So next what we need to do is set up the door itself. Now this is also quite easy to do. All we need is of course a model, which is going to be what moves, and a clip, which is going to make it so that the user and the player, can actually just walk through it. So we'll go over to models. I'm just going to type in door, just find a door. There we go. We'll use this one. I did this earlier so I could have things sort of pre-set up for us. So go into our top-down view. I'm just going to rotate this like so, and just kind of fit this in the doorway, as you would expect a door to be. Now what we're going to do is we're going to give this a slight change now. So at the moment, this is a MISC model, and what we want this to be is a script model. So a script model is going to be really just so we can sort of change it and we can use it within the script itself. So all we're going to do is go to remap class and just type in script, and you'll see one of the options here is script model, and just click remap. That's going to remap all the options to a script model, and you can see we now have target name for this, which of course means the script is going to be targeting this name. So what we're going to do next is name this something which we'll also remember. So I'm going to just call this secret door. Quite and simply like that. Okay, so secret door. Now that is really it for the door itself. It really is just quite that simple. Next what we need to do though, of course, is put a clip over this, because at the moment if the player was to run up to this, they would be able to run straight through it. So I'm going to go down to entity browser again, and I'm going to go down to, if I remember right, is a script. I'm going to select script brush model and drag that in. Now we're going to be putting this over all the space where the user would be able to run through. So typically in between these walls, like so. So we just go stretch this to basically match all the walls. As you can see, it goes up to each of the solid walls. Now we've done that, our script brush model now of course needs to be textured, and for this we're going to use the texture clip. So we're going to go to textures, and you can quite simply just search clip in here, and you'll see clip. It's just a standard clip you'll be using. Just double click that and it'll give it a clip texture, and that is pretty much just an invisible barrier. You'll have used clips throughout your map probably at this stage. The only difference is this, again, it can be used within the scripts itself. Now there is one more thing we need to do to this though. We do need to give this a target name and also an extra KVP. So we'll start with the target name. The target name is going to be, let's call it secret door clip. I should note, try to avoid, in fact, not even try to, just do completely avoid using spaces in here. They can cause you quite a few issues. I just always use underscores instead of spaces. I can't say I've even tried using spaces. It's just something I've always done through, sort of programming in general, not using spaces in these. So, yeah, make sure everything's separated using underscores or something like that. So, secret door clip, that's cool. Now we need to add a KVP. So we're going to go down here to add KVP. Just bring this across. And now we're going to add one called, what was it, script noteworthy. So script underscore noteworthy. I'm just going to give it a value of clip. So script noteworthy clip. I will add these into the description just in case you spell anything wrong or whatnot. You can just sort of reference that. So click add. So it's going to add a user-defined KVP down here, script noteworthy clip, and that's all we really need to do now for this part of it. So we've got a clip, as you can see. That's all properly done now. I'm just going to move this out of the way just so I can select the door. And you can see we have a door with target name secret underscore door. Okay, so let's move this back in place. There we go. Now, this is pretty much it now then for the Radiant side of stuff. Everything else now will be via the script. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this. Of course, we don't want to lose lose all the work that we've just been doing. And now I'll see you guys over at the file browser, where we can sort of make the script file and we can start going on that. Okay, so now we're over at the Black Ops 3 root directory. This is simply just where you installed the game. What we need to do is, of course, actually start making the script itself. So we'll go over to, as I said, the root directory. We'll go to user maps, and we'll go over to your map name. In this case, I'm using a test map, so it's going to be zm_test. Go into there. We'll go over to the scripts folder. Don't worry if you don't have all these options. I just, I've compiled it using all languages. That's all. So we'll go over to scripts. Go to ZM. And here, this now is where we're going to actually create the main script file itself. Now, some people, when they're developing sort of any sort of feature, they tend to put it into the main script file, like the actual main map one. That's perfectly fine. There's not a single problem doing that. But I prefer to separate them into different files. It just kind of keeps everything cleaner and things a bit easier to work with. Especially if you have your script, which is several hundred or maybe a few thousand lines long, which I've done a fair few times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file in here. All I'm going to do is right click, go to new, and text document, of course, assuming you're on Windows here. And all we're going to do is rename this. So this is going to be, let's go for ZM_secret door. .gsc. So ZM_secret door.gsc. Of course, the .gsc we're going to be changing the file type now. So do you want to change it? Yep, we do. If you can't see, the file name extensions, and of course if you're on Windows, then go up to View and file name extensions up here, and that of course will change that. So it needs to be a .gsc file, and of course ZM_secret door. This can be obviously be called whatever you want. Just we're making a secret door Easter egg, so it kind of makes sense. So next, what we need to do is actually make this file effectively be detected by the map, because at the moment the map doesn't know that this even exists really. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to basically specify its name in two locations. First one is going to be the main GSC, so this is going to be your ZM_MAPNAME.gsc. We'll open up that. Let's bring it over to the screen. And in here, all we're going to do is scroll down to the bottom, so just above the main bit here, typically under where you've got user maps, I tend to do. We're going to do a new line. We're going to do hashtag using, and all this is going to be is scripts /ZM and in this case it's going to be ZM_secret_door. So ZM_secret door. So it's hashtag using, then it's scripts ZM, and then of course whichever whatever you called your file, which in our case was secret_door. We don't need the .gsc here. All we need is a semicolon at the end. So just finish it like that. Okay, so we can save that. Next, what we need to do is edit the zone file. So the easiest way to do this is go over to your launcher, go into your map, right click and edit zone file. Here I'm going to put it about here. Of course you won't have all this. I have some additional weapons in my map. But all you're going to do is do pretty much what we got up here. So it's going to be scriptparsetree. I will have these in the description, by the way, just in case you do have a trouble with seeing the spelling and whatnot. Just so you sort of cross-reference it. So then it's going to be scripts / now ZM. Well, actually put a Z there. There we go. /ZM / and now again it's going to be the file name, but this time with the extension. So it's ZM_secret_door.gsc. So ZM_secret_door.gsc, and of course in this one it's the file name without the extension, but with a semicolon. In the zone file, same kind of the same sort of thing, just without the semicolon, but with the file name extension. Nice and easy there. So now once we got this, we now of course need to open up our new scripts file, and this now is where all the scripts are going to be running. So In here, we've got, of course, going to be putting the functionality for the secret door, and literally everything associated with that. Okay, so to start off, we're going to go for function, and now we're going to go for auto exec and main. So all it's going to do is when this file itself gets run, it's going to straight away look at the main function, because this auto exec, which is of course auto execute, it's simply just going to detect this and say, I want you to run this straight away. So this is kind of going to be the starting point, like the initialization point of this script. So within here, this now is going to be kind of like our main loop. So first of all, we need to, of course, actually grab the triggers. And if you remember, we had 3 triggers, but I did say that you can have as many triggers as you wanted. So we can't just grab each trigger because they're all called the same thing. So what we need to do is we need to grab an array of triggers. Now this is effectively just a collection of them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll make a new variable called trigs. So triggers equals get ent array. So get ent array. So get entity array. And this is going to be the name of the target name. So we called it secret door trig. So secret door trig. Separate that, there we go. And target name. So for all entities with the target name of secret door trig, put them into an array. That's all that's doing. Now what we need to do is, of course, go through every single entity that's within that array, that, you know, sort of within that collection. In this case, there's 3 entities within that collection of objects. So we're going to go for each trig in trigs. We're going to do what's in here. Okay, so all this is doing is it's saying this collection, which is, you know, this array, trigs, each individual object is going to be known as trig. Now, the reason why I've put S at the end of here is because there's multiple of them. You can really call this anything you want. You could put item here. Okay, so for each item in trigs, you can call this whatever you want. I just prefer to do trig. So trig in trigs, you know, kind of makes sense there. So for each item within this array, we're going to do something, and in this case we're going to thread a function. Now all threading a function really is it's effectively doing a script whilst the main script kind of still continues, so almost, you know, doing something on the side is probably the best way to explain that. So what we're going to do is trig, of course, you know, the individual item thread, and then let's call it monitor trigger, like such. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to do this function for every single item with this target name. Hopefully that makes sense. So next what we need to do is, of course, make this function, okay, because this doesn't exist yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to the function, monitor trigger, and this is going to be what it runs for every single one. So, of course, for every single trigger, we want the player to go up to it and, you know, and activate that trigger. And then, of course, you know, say, yeah, you've been activated, kind of, you know, recognize me. So what we're going to do, first of all, we need to set up the, you know, the trigger and what's going to be shown on there. So, you know, so press something to activate it and such. So we're going to do self. Now, self is going to be referring to the item itself. So trig thread self is trig, if that makes sense. So it's referring to itself. Okay, so trig is what this is referring to. Okay, so self use trigger require lookout. Okay, now all that's going to do is it's going to make it so the player has to be looking at the trigger for it to do it, you know, so they can't be facing away from it. You don't have to put that in. It's kind of depends really on how you want it to be interacted with. I just think it makes more sense for them to have to look at it to actually use it. So self trigger require lookout. Next line is going to be the actual text that you'll see. So self hint string. So self set hint string, and then within the brackets we're going to put the actual string. Okay, so anything within here, within this bit here, okay, is going to be what's actually being displayed, okay? Now, if you want it to be left blank, then of course leave it like this, and nothing will get displayed. It'll be more of like a mystery. But of course, if you do want something to displayed, in this case we do, then of course this now is where the text comes in. So I'm just gonna do something like press X to activate. So press X to activate. That should do the trick. Now there's a problem here though. What happens if the person is on PC? They could be on a controller. We don't actually know what button they're going to be using. So instead of doing X or F or whatnot, we're going to have the game kind of fill that in for us. And now to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to use the activate thing. So using these square brackets and then the curly brackets, we're going to do plus activate. Okay. And all that's going to do is that's going to grab the player's use button and put it in here. So really it doesn't matter, how you're playing it, whether it's on a keyboard or mouse or on a controller. It's going to be putting your activation button in here for you, which is quite useful. Now, I personally like to have it as a slightly different color, so I'm just going to put a up arrow or whatever that's called, 2, and then up arrow again with a 7. And all it's going to do is just going to put this into a different color and then return to the original color. So press to activate will all be in the same color, but this button itself will be I think it's red, green, something like that, or yellow. I don't know. It's a different color at least. I can't remember the colors of each number anyway. But it's a different color than the rest of the text, which of course is quite useful for when a player's reading it. So next, what we need to do is actually wait for the trigger to be activated. So we're now requiring the player to look at it, and it's going to tell them, press the button to activate. Now we need to, of course, wait for them to activate the trigger before we do anything. So self wait till trigger. Okay, quite as simply as that. That is really all that's needed. So this now, the script now will not go past this line until the trigger has been activated. Simply put, that is all that's going to happen. Now, as soon as this trigger has been activated, we of course don't want it to be activated again, so we need to be deleting it. So we're going to do self delete like that. So this now is going to mean that every single trigger within this array is going to thread this function. As soon as each one individually has had the trigger activated, it's going to then delete itself, which is great. Now, we've got the trigger set up, which is all good. Now we actually need to sort of track how many of them have been activated. So what we're going to do up here is we're going to make a loop. Well, actually, no. First of all, we need to make a variable to sort of handle how many activations we've had. So triggers activated, we'll call it. A variable is quite simply just something to store data in. So in this case, triggers activated will be the number of triggers we have activated. Kind of self-explanatory really for what we're calling it. So we're going to start this at 0. So it's going to have a starting value of 0. Now we're going to go into a loop. Now all the loop is quite simply a bit of code that keeps getting repeated. So we're going to do while. So while triggers activated is less than trigs.size. So whilst the number of triggers currently activated is less than the number of triggers available, because remember this is how many triggers we have. If we had 3, then trigs.size would be 3. So whilst it's less than the total number, we want to keep running this function. Okay, just put this on the same line. There we go. That is really all that's doing. So keep doing this until we've done them all. So it's effectively going to stay within this loop, stay within this bit of code here, until we have every single trigger activated. Now all we're going to do is we now of course need to wait for a trigger to be activated. So the way we're going to do this is each time a trigger is activated, we're going to notify that the level, if you will, that it's been activated. And then the loop is going to go, we've kind of just almost received the notification that a trigger's been activated. We can now continue, and we can then up the value of this. So I'll just type it out and hopefully that'll make sense. So level wait till, and let's call this, so this is effectively what the notification, if you will, is going to be called. It won't actually pop up on screen, it's just for the code. So secret door trig. Okay, so we'll call it that. So it's going to wait until something. Actually, no. Let's call it something different because that's going to be confusing with that. We'll call it secret door triggered. Okay, it's just I don't want it to get confusing with the naming up there as well. So it's going to wait until a secret door has been triggered. So until an individual trigger has been activated, and then it's going to do something. Now, we of course need to tell it. We of course need to actually notify this, and we're going to do that down here. So we're going to do level notify, and then of course this. Now, just to make sure that I don't misspell that, I'm just going to copy it into there. So all this is going to do is each time a trigger has been activated, it's going to notify secret door triggered. This loop is going to basically get stuck here. It's not going to progress past this point until this, which of course, until it's been notified of this, it's then going to continue. Okay, so each time a trigger's been activated, it'll continue. Then of course we need to increase the number of triggers activated by just doing triggers activated plus plus semicolon. So each time a trigger has been activated, it's going to go past this, it's then going to hit this code, it's then going to increase the value of this by 1. So first activation, this will be getting increased by 1 to become 1. Second activation, it'll become 2. And then the third activation, it'll become 3. Now, of course, if you had 5, then of course it would keep going until it equals 5. Now, here's where the cool part of this comes in. Because we're in a while loop, this loop will continuously, so as soon as this code's finished, it'll go back to the start, okay? And it's going to keep looping around, so it's going to, as soon as it goes down to here, it's going to come back up to here, okay? As soon as it comes back up to here, it's going to wait again, it's going to increase it again. However, obviously we don't want that to happen, infinitely, do we? We want this to happen as many times as there are the number of triggers, which is where this comes in, okay? So as soon as triggers activated is equal to 3, so it is no longer less than the size, it's going to break out that loop and it's going to come down here, okay? So once it reaches 3, so once 3 triggers have been activated, it's then going to pass this and come down here. And this, of course, now is where we want the door to sort of open up. And of course, that clip to prevent the player from going through, we want that to be deleted. So that's what we need to do is, of course, grab the door itself. Now, if I'm correct, we called it secret underscore door. So I'm just going to type in door model. Just something, to store it in, just something that we know what it's called. So door model equals getEnt. So get entity with the name secret door. And secret door was the target name. Okay, so the target name of secret door. Now, of course, if you do have more than one door, you will need to modify this. Really using something like we did up here. Or you could just do door model 1, door model 2. That's perfectly fine as well. But of course, we only have one door and we want it to slide open. So, and secret door target name. Okay. Next, what we need to do is, of course, get the clip now. So that was the sort of the invisible barrier that was over it. So door clip equals get ent, and I think that was secret door clip, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure that was right, yeah. Of course, you need to be naming these, as you name them in Radiant. So secret door clip is the clip. Next what we need to do, of course, is move the actual model itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to do door model. Move, I'm just going to put move Y. So of course you've got X, Y, and Z. So move X, move Y, or move Z. And this now is going to be the amount of units you want to move it by. So whether it's in a positive or a negative direction. And how long you want it to take. So I'm just going to put, just as a complete placeholder, I'm going to put, but I just happen to know it's 64, comma 1. Okay, so it's going to move the door 64 units positive in the Y direction. Of course, if you wanted it to move the other way, we'd do minus 64. So move it positive 64 in the Y direction within 1 second. Okay, that's all that means. Now, to understand all this, all you need to do is go into Radiant and quite simply look at what axis you're moving the door on, you know, so whether it's the X, Y, or Z axis, and change this to move X, move Y, or move Z. The amount of units to move it by, typically this is going to be the width of the doorway, more often than not, which I just happen to know it's 64 units. And of course, how long you want it to take. So, you know, if you want it to be a very, very quick door, make that number smaller. The smallest one is 0.05. So that'd be almost instant. And of course, if you want it to slide open quite slowly, then, you know, you can put that number up to, you know, to take a few seconds or whatnot. So now we have the door model itself moving. We now need to, of course, delete the clip. So door clip, delete. And it really is as simple as that. So that clip itself will then be deleted, and of course the player now will be able to walk through that door. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this. That really is the entirety of that script. Not too complicated. I will be leaving you a link in the description to this script. You know, should you want to just look at it. I will also put a few comments in here just so you know kind of what everything does, just to explain it a little bit better. Especially for people, you know, who are more new to scripting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to my launcher. I'm going to go to my map and I'm going to compile, light, and link. I'm going to click build. I'll stop the recording though, just while it's building. And then we'll go into the game and, you know, actually see things working properly. Okay, so over at Black Ops 3, you can see we have 3 triggers. Press F to activate on each one. And we have a door which, you know, we cannot walk through. So if I just activate these in a random order, there we go. See, we still can't walk through. If we do the last one, but I'll look at the door. You can see it slides open. You can see that works quite nicely. And of course, we cannot activate these again. There's no text on there whatsoever. We can walk through here, not a problem. Still wait for a zombie though to walk through just to show it does work. But yeah, guys, hopefully this has helped you guys quite a bit. Of course, you know, you can customize this however you want. I have written this script, so you can, you know, you can add quite a lot of things to it. You know, if you want to add any sounds, any effects, or anything like that. Of course, it's way beyond the scope of this video, but you know, it's not overly difficult to do either. Though. So, of course, if you do have any questions about what I did, or you know, you do have any weird errors or anything, please leave them in the comments, and I'll do my very best to help you guys there. But other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.